All right. So, welcome everyone to Good Trouble training, the Good Trouble workshop. I am y'all know I'm a little bit of I'm a John Lewis fan, right? And I love good necessary trouble. I think everyone should engage in it. I also will say this, not everybody's good trouble looks the same, right? So there were some brothers down in Louisiana. Their good trouble was showing up on the block with their AR-15s hung across their chest. I don't know if y'all saw that or not. But like the weekend before last, there were some Confederate white nationalists that had showed up in Louisiana that were kind of intimidating some of the black women down there. And the brother said, okay. They showed up like Marcus Garvey style, Black Panther style, had their AR-15s across their chest. The media said, what y'all doing down here? He said, oh, wait, y'all paying attention now? So good trouble looks like that for them, right? Good trouble looks different for different folks. So what I will say
Yeah.
to you is never ever judge your good trouble to someone else's, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. Find your way to make good trouble and be good at it.
Mm.
Be hella good at it and know that yours may be different. You know, Malcolm and Martin were very different, although they were similar by the end. So just understand that good trouble looks different for different people, but there are certain components that make us successful. And when I say successful, it doesn't mean that you always get what you want, but it means that you make an impact. It means that you move the needle. It means that you hold people accountable, and you push things forward. And that's what we're looking to do, especially in this day and age. So let me start sharing. Make sure that I have everything up. Oh, let me admit cat. Okay, so you don't need that. I don't need that. Holy jeez. I still have 1,000 things up on the screen. It's gonna be all right though. Oh, I closed one thing I did need. It's okay though, right? All right. Okay. I really do think I'm going to have to end up getting a new laptop. I got this one during the protest when I was outside at Ballot Health, and bless its heart, it has lived outside with me for almost 300 days. It's been around toddlers and road trips and all the things, and so I'm just like, bless it. It's about gonna. I'm not going to speak that. I want it to last forever, knowing that it doesn't last forever. Okay. So let me share my screen with you guys. I'm going to ask you to stay on mute for the most part, and then I'll give an opportunity for people to ask questions and that sort of thing. You all will be, those of you guys who were here on Saturday, breathe a sigh of relief. Today will not be as heavy as that one was. For those of you guys who watched the replay, there was a portion that I intentionally did not record. And because we were private together. But it was, yeah, we got a little intense. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and let's get on in it. Okay, so good trouble. Get into some good necessary trouble. And then here's my little caveat, and be effective. It doesn't matter if you get into good trouble if it's not effective, right? And I think sometimes, so there's a guy, he gets very frustrated with me. He participated, he came down to the protest some when I was doing the healthcare protest outside of Ballot Health. And, now he was mad at me when I supported Kamala Harris, and he's made some little snide remarks. And so like today, there is a white nationalist group that is really building momentum in Tennessee. And there was a big a news coverage about it and Channel 5 down in Nashville. And so I posted a link about it, and he goes, oh, yeah, well, they'll just surely go away if we vote more, right? Just being a smartass. And so I just commented and I said, yep, and they'll go away even faster if we just make snide remarks about people who say we should vote. Like, dude, don't be an ass. Um,
Mm-mm.
I'm just saying, you want it to be effective. And so when I said that to him, his response was to post this picture of himself, I guess getting arrested. Now, let me just say this. I don't know that just because you got arrested, you were effective. Did it change anything? Did it make news headlines? Was it consistent? Did it last more than a cycle? Does anybody even know what happened, why it happened, where it is? If not, nobody probably cares. You know what I mean? So just throwing that out there that to make sure that your trouble is effective. All right, so I'm going to slide this up here so that I can see. All right, and here we go. So why am I doing this training? I'll tell you why. Elected officials are behaving more like politicians and celebrities than public servants. There are people in the presidential administration, Congress, and our state legislatures who are more concerned with ideology and nationalism than what's best for the people of America. So as a result, many people are left wondering just what can we do to be effective? We need to make good trouble that has an impact and produces results. So the purpose of this training with me is to, one, equip you all with the tools and techniques to go into your communities with persuasive messaging, effective organizing, and powerful impact. To provide you with a variety of pathways for holding public officials accountable, getting accurate information, and being the voice for the unheard. Okay. Outcomes. Hopefully, you will leave equipped with the ability to find, write proper FOIA requests, press releases, emails to your representatives, letters to the editors, and you'll also be able to engage in effective fact-based conversations that elicit an emotional response and a desire to take action that addresses the issue. And that one right there is of particular interest to me because what I will find sometimes is that people will give this very emotional speech or this emotional, address, but it doesn't have a clear call to action. It doesn't give, there's no facts or sources behind it. It's not as impactful. And so I want what we do to equip people with knowing how to tie it all together and to do it in short order. Okay. So that's what I hope that you take away from this. So a lot of you guys know me from social media, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but people are like, well, who are you and why should I listen? When it comes to good trouble, your girls had quite a bit of it. And not because I'm like, ooh, where can I get in trouble? It's literally just that things tend to find me and I'm game once they do, right? So a lot of people started to get to know me and when I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I just started doing this thing called free hugs. You might have heard about it if you've gone to music festivals, you see people wearing shirts. And so we just started doing that up in uptown Charlotte. And then as we were up there, we got to know a lot of our unhoused population because that's where they hang out. That's where a lot of their services are. And that grew into Free Hugs and Love, which was us like packing backpacks full of supplies and taking them out like every other month and giving anywhere from 25 to 50 backpacks out to people that were unhoused in our community. Socks and hygiene kits and snack bags and deodorant and bottles of water and whatever you can name, we did it. That's us. And then as I got to be out there, like I said, I got to know quite a few of them. I spent a weekend out with a couple of guys, Mike and Mark, where I literally lived with them on the weekend. We slept we slept at the United Way building in Uptown Charlotte under the overhang, and with some cardboard underneath us in February of 2017. It was nice and cold. I think the low was like 27 degrees. And then, like, I don't know, within 2 weeks of that, Mike's colon ruptured and he had a wound vac and all of that. And he only had Medicare, and the facilities they wanted to take him to were like 1-star facilities, and the reviews were really horrible. And the two of them were quite dependent upon each other, and I didn't want to separate them, so I cleaned out my spare bedroom. A couple of high schoolers that were participated in my workshops donated twin beds, and they came to live with me for almost 6 months. And Mike went through 5 surgeries, and I changed colostomy bags and cleaned out wound vacs and all the things, right? Back home in Tennessee, y'all know this is Bella. She was 1 pound, 3 ounces at birth. Our state legislature created a medical monopoly in the state of Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Virginia using a mechanism called a COPA. Your state probably has the law that is the foundation for that. It's called the Hospital Cooperation Act of 1993. Your state legislature can use that to create a medical monopoly. They did where I'm from. That ended up leading a protest where we were outside for 257 days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then, yes, I got to be with the incredible Stacey Abrams as her community manager in 2022. Got to do a little dancing at homecoming and all the things. So I love some good trouble. Tools to use when we are talking about good trouble. I'm going to give you 8 right off the bat. You ready? The first one are FOIA requests. And we're going to talk some more about them in just a minute, but that is your Freedom of Information Act. I want to tell you something. The reason that I want to pay a lot of attention to FOIA requests as right now when it pertains to this new administration is it is one of the laws that was passed in the early 70s. And when I hear JD Vance talking about undoing the mistakes of the 60s and the 70s, one of the things that I get concerned about is our ability to access governmental transparency and if they do away with our ability to do those things. So FOIA requests, use them while we can. Public meetings are fantastic. And I don't know if you all know this, but they do public meetings for like lots of different things. Even the FTC does public meetings and different things like that. So your public meetings, when it comes to your Board of Education, your City Council, your Board of Mayor and Aldermen, your county commissioners, your whatever it is, okay? Those are great things. Another one is press releases. We can talk about when we use press releases, how we use them, and what for. What would you use them for? Because you're not a business. You're like, what would I need a press release for? When you're into good trouble, press releases are great because all you're doing is emailing the press. That's it. You're emailing them suckers with a particular format and letting them know what you're up to. And what's great about it is when you do it with enough people behind you or enough people going to attend, it gets there because guess what? They all want to be the first scoop. So those are great little things to pique their ears up. Letters to the editor, emails and phone calls, which you all already know about, social media, not medial, media, typo, community forums, and then petitions. And we're going to talk about petitions, online petitions versus old school petitions. We're going to talk about the two. All right, everybody who's been to anything in the world has heard me say this. I'm going to say it again. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you go into a city council meeting, a county commission meeting, and a board of education meeting, and you get up there all hooty tooty haughty, and you got something to say to everybody, and they haven't seen your ass ever before. You ain't come to help, not do near thing. Don't expect for people to really pay attention to you. That people need to know that you actually care and that you're not grandstanding. It's not your moment to be on the scene, right? Believe it or not, that makes a difference. And what's funny is it doesn't make a difference to the politicians who are now quote unquote celebrities, right? Everybody loves it when they grandstand. But the advocates, the people who want to do good work, nah, you're supposed to do it and go broke. You're supposed to do it and be a martyr. You're supposed to do it with no one backing you, like all the things. Have you ever noticed that? How many times people will come into TikTok and tell me get a job? Right? Because they want you to do it and be broke and be a martyr. And how dare you be paid for doing it?
Yeah,
Now, people can be paid to dismantle the government. People can be made to consolidate your hospitals and take away your health care and, disrupt your education systems. People can get paid to do a whole lot of bad, but how dare you get paid for good work? Man, listen, show people that you care. Okay. Show people that you care so that they are interested in everything else. I'm not sure who RC is. Everybody, if you could just do me a favor and make sure that you are on mute, because there's a whole lot of you guys. I can't scroll through and find everybody, but just make sure everybody is on mute for me, please. That way it doesn't break through. Okay. All right. So y'all know this is one of my 4 acronyms. How many of you guys throw in the chat for me if you've heard me say before tonight? So I believe that almost everything when it comes back to policy comes back to these 4 main things, right? It's healthcare, education, housing, and economic mobility. And the reason why I don't say economic security is because nothing is ever truly secure because we don't control anything, right? So, but this is what almost everything comes back to. If you name any issue, I can almost always show you a line back to one of these 4 things, if not more than one of these 4 things. So when you are having conversations posted on your whiteboard, I love that, Eric. So listen, I'm going to show you guys a way that you do this. When you're talking to people about the issues, and you're tying it back to healthcare, education, housing, economic mobility, I want you all right now to think about a local, state, or federal example of a healthcare, education, housing, or economic mobility issue. Drop it in the chat for me or come off mute really quickly. Tell me, give me an issue that is right now, because I can automatically I think of Social Security as one, right? I think about that.
Canceling Board of Education.
Yep. Board of Education is another. We got Medicaid, right? These big cuts, this $880 billion they got to find a cut from somewhere. So there's a lot of these issues. Now, those are what we're talking about right now are federal things, right? Now, let's talk about, yep, veterans, Edith, trans rights, yes, FEMA, all the things. So listen, so here's what I want you to remember. When you are thinking about these, when I just say canceling the Board of Education, right, the Department of Education, it sounds something that is so far away. US8 is another one, right, Bronze? So let's take just that one example of the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education. And now we got to bring it down to the local level. Everything you have to bring it down to that local level, to the community, to the people that you are speaking with, because you have to make it real to them. Most people in their everyday lives have no idea how the federal Department of Education plays into their local child's school system. Yeah. So you have to find a way of making that very real to them on a local level. So what I always say is you got to find one or two stats, one or two facts with sources that bring it down to make it a smaller, more localized issue that has personal impact. Okay, so immediately you all have heard me. I talk about 504s and IEPs. Why do I talk about them so much? Bella has one. Why is that important for me? Why is that effective for me? It's effective for me because a lot of people started following me because of Bella. And when I say because of Bella, it wasn't because of Bella, it was because I was protesting ballot health. But how did I become to protest ballot health? Because of Bella. Had Bella never been born at Holston Valley Medical Center at 1 pound, 3 ounces, had she never spent 91 days in a NICU, had I never become friends with those NICU nurses and neonatologists, that protest would have never happened. And so people remember seeing me. You can Google and see me sitting in front of a COPA hearing with Bella up on my hip, talking to people getting into good trouble, right? And so when I go to talk about a 504 or an IEP, and I mention how the role that the Federal Department of Education plays in our life and in Bella's life, and why this is so significant to me, it resonates with people, right? It resonates with people. It draws a direct correlation. And it shows, do you see what I'm saying? How it makes it personal? Because people already associate her with me, with the protest, with me showing that I care, with advocacy, with all the things. And so it's a direct line. In your personal lives, if you have people around you that have 504s or IEPs, that's going to make it relevant. I also talk about it from the perspective of growing up biracial in my school system. I can relate it to the folks that, that I just helped with their court case in Hawkins County just 2 years ago. You have to figure out how to take this national issue and make it pertinent on a local level and make it also personal as well as professional, and how it impacts everybody's life. Does that make sense so far, you guys? But I want you to be very focused on these 4 things, because these 4 things are how you're going to tie everything back in when you are making good trouble. So this is, hey, everybody, this is always how you do it. In everything, I want you to be thinking of, okay, what is the pillar that this goes back to? How do I make this a local issue? Who does it impact locally? How does it impact them locally? And how do I describe it in a way that makes it tangible for them, that they feel it, that it's real, that it matters? Those are the things you got to be thinking of. Now, you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of steps. Let me take them one by one. This is what I consider to be the effective communication steps when it comes to speaking engagements. When you're standing in front of the FTC or your county commission's office or your board of mayor and aldermen, you are naming the issue from that political policy perspective. You're going to give a personal, real life example of that issue as it exists in your life or the lives of the people in your community. Okay. No, I see a message affect everyone. Yeah. Yeah, I keep saying so this whole recording is going to be made available, Linda. Yep. The recording will be in the link tree and it will also be on YouTube. Yep. 100%. So I'm going to name the issue. I'm going to walk you guys through this and show you how I do it. I'm going to give a personal real life example of the issue as it exists in my life or in the life of people in my community. I'm going to highlight the cost of the issue. What are we as a result of the issue? Okay. I'm going to give a detailed example of what the resolution would look like for the issue. I'm going to highlight the benefit of the resolution. What would we gain? I'm going to provide an example of where and how it's been done successfully already. Outline a simple step-by-step roadmap to implementing the resolution. And then at the very end, we're going to just lay it on them with their responsibility and the oath that they've taken. Got it? So when we think about how we do this, these are things that you want to be able to weave in to every conversation and be cognizant of who you are speaking to. If I'm speaking to someone who I know is going to lean conservative, who is going to be fiscally focused, if I know that, I'm going to find a way to make my very emotional, my very human, my very rights-driven, autonomy, desiring focused, I'm going to tie it to money. I am going to tie it to money. Now, why am I going to do that? When is the best time? Because I'm going to tell you what, do you know what people used to say? I'm going to pause right here. I'm not pause. Oh shit, did I hit record? Okay, I did. I thought I didn't hit recording, but I did. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. So follow me. When we were down in Georgia during the midterms, and Stacey Abrams had this plan, there was a $6 billion rainy day fund in the state of Georgia at the time under Brian Kemp. And on day one, she wanted to expand Medicaid in the state of Georgia. It would have given 500,000 people in the state of Georgia access to health care that they didn't have before. Okay. What do you think the first question I always got asked when we talked about expanding Medicaid? What do you think people said when I'm talking to those fiscally conservative folks?
Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, Vestel. Who gonna pay
Who's
for
gonna pay for it?
That's what they all said. Who's paying for it? Right? Cost, Melinda. So this is the thing. The best time to overcome that is right from the gate, right off jump. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I'll give you a little secret. So we were hanging out. I'm not gonna say where we were hanging out because mind your business, but we were hanging out one day after work, right? At the campaign. It'd be tough sometimes. So we were hanging out. And there were these some white businessmen that they needed a little stress relief too. So they were hanging out, right? And so one of the little white guys goes over and he's just chatting away. And I said, let me ask you a question. Because of course we were in Stacey gear. And so I said, so let me ask you a question. If you could go into a room and with the push of a button, give healthcare to 500,000 people, and it didn't cost you anything. Your taxes wouldn't go up. Nothing else would change. Would you do it? And he said, but wait, I said, no. You don't need to know her. I'm just going to ask you, would you do it if it didn't cost you anything? Now, why am I asking that? because I already know her plan would make it so that it didn't cost him anything. So if he says yes, I got his ass, right? I'm Matlocking. I'm Matlocking right now. Y'all know what Matlocking is? Matlocking is asking the question you know the answer to, and you just kind of getting them. So it's the gotcha, right? I'm Matlocking him. So this was the question. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter how I'm going to pay for it. If you don't have to pay for it, if your friends don't have to pay for it, if your taxes aren't changing, if nothing's going on, if you could just miraculously walk into a booth, push a button, and give 500,000 Georgians access to health care, and it wouldn't change anything in your life financially, would you do it? And this joker beat around. I said, just yes or no, would you do it? And he said, yes. And I said, great. I'm so glad to hear you're going to be voting for Stacey Abrams because what she intends to do is use that $6 billion rainy day fund. And guess what? She'll be able to do this, this, and this, and still have $3 billion of it sitting in the bank. So we will still have a $3 billion rainy day fund in the state of Georgia, and 500,000 people now have access to health care. I'm glad to know that you care about human beings. And he just looked like, oh shit, right? But I'm Matlocking because the best time to overcome an objection is before you get it. So when you are talking to people, you need to be thinking, what are their objections going to be? Not that you are expecting the objections, but just your planning, right? I'm saying, okay, what are the most common things I hear? And all I had to do was ask y'all, and what did every one of y'all say? Every one of y'all said, where's the money's going to come from? Who's going to pay for it? What? Everybody knows. So I'm not putting anything out into the atmosphere. I just know what already's there. So I'm thinking, okay, how can I overcome that if I know it's coming? Right. You are preparing, yeah, before you get it, I am addressing it so I don't get it. I am addressing it so I don't get it. Another technique for this is called a baby negative. Y'all ever heard the words a baby negative? Okay, it's one of my favorite things too. I didn't even plan to talk about this, but here we go. Hold on. So a baby negative. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. And I'm gonna make it generic. So let's just say that we are on a timeshare tour. Yeah, I said a baby negative, Lulu Bell, baby negative. So let's just say that we are all on a timeshare tour together. Okay. And the place that we are touring is 2 blocks away from the ocean. Okay. And we're on a timeshare tour and we're walking around the property, and the property is beautiful. And there's like mini golf courses, and there's 3 different types of swimming pools and all kinds of stuff, movie theaters, all the stuff is on the property, but it's not on the ocean, right? So, do you know what I'm going to do if I am your tour guide? As I'm walking around the property, I'm going to say, isn't it beautiful, y'all? I'm saying, what don't you see? And they're going to say, what do you mean? It has everything. I'm going to say, no, it doesn't. What don't you see, y'all? And they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. I'm going to say, you don't see no dolphins, do you? There's no ocean out here. There's no sand on the beach. Why? Because everybody says they want to stay oceanfront, right? So if you are touring my property that I know is not on the ocean, I'm going to point out to you it ain't there before you can tell me it ain't there. And then I'm going to tell you why it's a good thing. You ready? All right. I'm going to say it's not on the ocean, but do you know why that is really a good thing for you? Because the way that timeshares work is you are deeded at this property, but you get to travel using your points that you can use at any property. So you can be deeded here, but use your points to stay oceanfront. And when you're deeded here, that means your maintenance fees are 1/3 of what they are for the properties on the beach because they have higher insurance rates. So your maintenance fees for this place will be half or 1/3 of what they would if you were deeded over there. Do you care where your deed is as long as you can stay oceanfront? No, I don't. Great. Love that. So guess what? When I go to ask for your damn money, You are not going to be able to tell me I'm not buying because it's not on the beach, because we already covered it. When you are talking to your sales rep, when you are talking to your, I read sales pitch, when you're talking to your elected representatives, right? The question is, okay, so listen, if I can show you, if I can demonstrate to you that a healthy percentage of your constituents feel this way about this initiative and this and that, would you be, if I can get 100 people together, would you show up to a community forum? I'm going to already have 100 people together before I ask that question, y'all. You hear me? You want to get them to show up? Call up a local reporter. Say, hey, if I knew that 150 people in this community were getting together to talk about Representative so and so, would y'all come and cover it? Yeah, we would. Great. Here's the date and time. Here's the press release. What's your email? Because you already got it together. You see what I'm saying? Take away the objections right up front. Be prepared in your troublemaking. Okay? Matlock it, people. You got to matlock it. Okay, now back to this slide. The reason why all of this is so important, these steps, is because you have to weave in the policy, the personal, the cost of what happens by not fixing it, and what you can gain by fixing it. Marnie said, I got talked into buying a timeshare at Myrtle Beach at age 18. I was not prepared for their sales pitch. Yeah, girl, listen, they a different breed down there. But this is the thing. This is how you do it. You gotta tug on heartstrings and make sure that they know you're not gonna pull their purse strings at the same time. Pull their heartstrings and let them know it's not gonna pull their purse strings. You see what I'm saying? And people love it when it's done for them. Why is ALEC so successful with legislators? Because they do this. They give them a step-by-step roadmap for passing legislation, don't they? They do it so well, they just leave fill in the blanks on fill in the blank for this representative, this state, this whatever, right? So, things to avoid. And some of y'all, I wish I could look in your eyes when I say this. Avoid bashing and denigrating. Avoid personal attacks, even when they deserve it. Avoid threats and violence. And I know that some people are like, well, maybe it's time to be violent. If that's the way you feel, that's your good trouble, not mine. My good trouble doesn't include violence because it's just not what I think. The only time that I am good with violence is when it is in defense of myself or another. I know it's hard to do when people say stupid things. I get it. And this is the thing. It cannot be about the person. It cannot be about you. It can't be about your frustration. It has to be about where we are going. Karen, you see, I said people instead of what you typed, girl, because I was like, damn, she say her mama say stupid things, but you meant MAGA. Got it. I got it. I was like, dang, Karen. Because Karen had typed in the chat, y'all, hard to do when mama says stupid things. And I said, yeah, it's hard to do when people say stupid things. And then she said, no, I mean MAGA. Great. I didn't know whether you meant your mama or MAGA, but I understood. So, and it can be, but this is when you have to take you out of it. You're welcome, Dale. Have a good one. Right, Stacy. But here's the thing, you guys. You have to determine it. For me, it is more important to get where we need to go. Okay. It is more important to get where we need to go. I can bite my tongue and I don't know, have a drink later, pray about it later, burn some sage, whatever. Things that we do want to address, their responsibility to the people, their public service, and the consequences of elections. And I think that this is something that especially liberals and progressives need to get very real about. If you don't have representatives that are in the fight for democracy right now, they should know that they can be fired. And they should know that there are other liberals, there are other progressives, there are other people that are willing to go toe to toe with the GOP and not do this, oh, well, I want to reach across the aisle. Listen, if you continue to reach across the aisle and the folks across the aisle are slapping the shit out of your hand, or in some cases, figuratively cutting your hand off, sometimes you stop reaching. Sometimes you stop reaching. And you be about the business of organizing on your side of the aisle to get things done. And if we don't have representatives that want to do that, then they don't deserve to be in office either. You follow me? Just saying. Now, how many of you all know that a lot of times when you go before public meetings, that part, right, Tiffany? When you go in front of public meetings, that you often have anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes to speak, depending upon what your local or state or federal guidelines are. You can have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes typically to speak in person. Everybody knows that, right? So, what do you do with that 2 to 5 minutes? I typically will do a greet and a thank you, depending upon how many times I've been before that body and whether that body and I are on great terms or not. You talk hella fast, Marnie, you do. You state your case, you provide facts and the sources to back it up. You do add a personal component in it. Why? Because people matter and you have to make it human to people. You have to make it human to people. And then you have to make it their professional responsibility. You have to make it their responsibility because they are sitting in the seat and you are not. And then you have to end it with a clear ask. Okay. So, on that note, what I want to do is share a couple of examples of what that looks like. Yes, Vestel, come with prepared personal statement. So, I'm going to give you an example. When I go before the FTC during their open meetings, they have the shortest time limit ever. It is 2 minutes. Two. And so I will typically write that sucker out and then I'll run through it a couple of times. And then I'll look at where I can cut or be more effective in Brandy said Danny be speed talking sometimes, but guess what? It is recorded and they can watch it later. And that's all I care about. But I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what this looks like. So let me share my screen with you. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like because it's not always going to be roses and sunshine. So I'm going to show you an amicable environment and a not so amicable environment in which I've done this type of thing. So here we go. So this one, okay, so yeah, well, Facebook, I was where I wanted to be until you moved me. Okay, so, well, sweet baby Jesus. Okay, I don't know why Facebook changed my channel for me, but they did. I'm not appreciative. Okay, so where did it go? That's May. Oh, dear gosh. Okay, this one. So this one, they were nice and they let me go a little bit longer than 2 minutes. They don't always. That was the only time they let me go longer than two, but they smile at me. Listen, when you get to the point where like the commissioner of the FTC smiles at you, it's good. Like, appreciate you. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, so let me turn it up. This is January of 2024. This is my 2 minutes with the FTC.
Danny Cook. Danny. Good morning, Chair Khan and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak and advocate for the 1.2 million people in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. I'm a service-connected disabled veteran and a grandmother. The first step that Ballot Health took after being granted a Certificate of Public Advantage on January 31st in 2018 was to close the Level 3 NICU that saved my granddaughter's life. Nursing staff reached out for my help, and I'm doing the
So I want to tell you, I'm just going to make a couple of points as we go through this. So I've thanked them, right? I'm giving them the basis of the conversation, how this medical monopoly was created. And now I'm making it personal. I'm telling you why I got to be here, because this ain't my normal jam, right? Here we go.
And as I continue to learn about this process, whether we are talking about the merger of grocery stores or hospital systems, eliminating healthy competition is harmful for consumers. And what has happened here is a perfect example. There are two components to the COPA: the benefits that are supposed to outweigh the disadvantages from a lack of competition, and the active supervision that's supposed to be provided by the state to ensure compliance with the terms of the COPA agreement. Our COPA experiment has failed, and the following points are just sampling of those failures. Ballot Health has failed to meet its annual charity care obligations that it made to the state by approximately $148 million over the span of 4 years. And the Tennessee Department of Health has repeatedly waived those charity care obligations each year after they failed to meet them. Ballot Health repeatedly failed to meet its quality of care benchmarks as established in the COPA terms, including for fiscal year 2021, they missed 61 of 75 target measures that were established as a baseline. The Department of Health stopped publishing a final score for Ballot Health's compliance with the COPA. So the public has no idea if they're failing or if they're not, although we know they're failing. We just don't have a final score.
It was written out, Uka.
In writing. The Department of Health has continually loosened anti-competitive restrictions by allowing them to oppose con laws, by allowing them to now engage in non-compete covenants, which they were first restricted for when the COPA was granted. They have repeatedly, they no longer host a public hearing by the local COPA Advisory Council, which was the purpose that council was created. They have 3 tertiary hospitals. 2 of those are now 1-star hospitals. They were 3-star and 4 stars prior to this merger. And one of them is a 2-star hospital, and it was 3 stars before that. The healthcare system has had at least 5 immediate jeopardies, several of which included the result of patient death in the last 5 years since it was granted a COPA. Yet they cover the region in television, radio, and billboard advertisements claiming to be among the nation's best for patient safety and quality of care. This is deceptive and dangerous for consumers who just happen to be patients. The people who put this COPA together control 65% of the workforce in this region. I'm respectfully asking the FTC to revisit this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comment.
So that's Doug, who I now love and adore. This was my first time, and I was going to go as long as his ass was going to let me go. Because there weren't a lot of other people on. Now, the other 2 times, I was 2 minutes, quick and done. But every time I ask for them to come back and do something, every time I'm giving them the law that they need to refer to. You all can do this when you are talking to your elected representatives. When it comes to Medicare, how many of you all hear healthcare people talk about their emergency rooms are overflowing with people that are either addicts, unhoused people, or people who aren't having real emergencies? Everybody talks about that. They talk about how much money it's costing these healthcare systems, and that's why they can't hire nurses and blah, 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 blah. They don't talk about how much they're paying their administrators and whatever. But when you talk to somebody, you can say this: do you know what expanding Medicaid does? Did you all know that if a state expands Medicaid, and this is the way that I explain Medicaid expansion to folks in simple terms, because I don't know if y'all realize, but a lot of folks, especially in state legislatures, they not real bright. At least not where I'm from. If you've never talked to some of your state legislatures sitting chair to chair, I have. But yeah, you hear it all the time, right? So this is what I will say. I'll say, listen, let me ask you a question. If it costs you $1 to live in the state of Tennessee every month, no matter what, you got to pay me $1 to live in this state. That's your contribution. If I said to you that if you will simply join my club, I will give you 90 cents of your dollar back every month, would you join my club? You don't got to do anything different. You might have to file paperwork differently, but you can get 90 cents of your dollar back. Would you join my club? What do you think they all say? Yeah, great. I am so glad to hear you're ready to expand Medicaid because that's Medicaid expansion. They give them 90% back. That's it. Make it simple when you're talking to them. And when you say it like that, what can they legitimately say in response? Making good trouble is about making it easy. I want to be able to have conversations with people like I'm standing on the block or if I'm standing in a boardroom. I've got to be able to convey that same message no matter who I'm talking to. And the problem right now is many of our folks that are advocating or that are on the news or that are running podcasts, they're using these big ass words that most of the time people don't know what the words mean, right? They are because they want to sound really smart. And I'm just like, you're sounding smart, feeling really, really great about your appearance on Rachel Maddow, but there are millions of people in the country who still have no idea what actually is going on. And we need to fix that. Just talk plain. That is why people say they love Trump, right? So why ain't everybody else just talking normal? Talk to people like they are sitting. I tell people all the time, I want to talk to you like you are either sitting at my living room table, right? At a bar with me or at church, whichever one applies to you, because I can do all three, right? I'm going to meet you where you are and communicate. Most feel disconnected from those who speak. Exactly, Vestel. And this is what a lot of people, especially Trump supporters, were saying. They said, listen, you seem uppity. You tell us we're morons. We're voting against our best interests. Trump supporters aren't smart enough to know better. We have denigrated that group of people till they have no desire to talk with us. So this is why I'm saying you have to get into good trouble in a way that is effective, right? So I'm going to give you another example. And I'm just picking one because I don't even know which ones what I said when I said it. So this one is in May. So let me just share one. And then I've got one more that I'm going to show you in an adversarial condition, just so that you can kind of see what that looks like and what you got to be. How do you respond when they ask who pays for that reimbursement? It's the federal government. It doesn't increase the national debt. They actually don't have anything to do. You're not borrowing any money. It's money that's already allocated. Yeah, it's money that's already allocated no matter what. And so I actually have a little I can give you access to it, Stace. I actually did a little bulletin about healthcare. And in many states, for many states, when they do expand Medicaid, sometimes they actually save money because they can take folks who qualify for regular Medicaid through the state, and they can also qualify for the expansion one, and they can move those people into the Medicaid expansion category. And now the state is getting the 90% reimbursement for those folks when they used to be under the other Medicaid. So in some instances, expanding Medicaid has actually saved states money because they've been able to take people that were qualifying for the state Medicaid, put it into the expansion category. Now the state is able to save money on those same people. Yeah, I know. We can talk about it from how it affects rural hospital closures, like all kinds of things. But the reality is this: what we know is that expanding Medicaid at a minimum and universal health care at a maximum actually allows people to get preventative care. When they get preventative care and they are able to have pediatricians and they are able to have internal medicine physicians, then guess what? They can go for strep throat instead of coming to the ER. They can set up a call with their pediatrician, right? And they don't have to come to your emergency room. That saves you money in the long term, right? These are all ways to have these types of conversations. Again, remember the points that I'm talking about. Give them the issue. Give them facts and sources because you have to establish your credibility during this time. There's a reason that some of the best journalists in the country, healthcare journalists, if they're going to write about ballot health, they contact me. Not because I'm like some, I don't know, unicorn, fairy, whatever, right? I'm not, what's his name? Oh my gosh, why am I going blank right now? I was having a Captain America moment. Hawking, right? I'm not, but it's because I've been so immersed in them and because I've made it my business to know the facts. There are very few people that know about ballot that aren't on the inside that know more than me. So you have to make yourself reliable. You have to make yourself credible by giving facts and sources. Got it? Let me let this person back in the room. All right, so let me share really quickly. This is what a flat 2 minutes looks like. Oh,
Danny Cook. Danny?
Thank you, Chair Khan and Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak again regarding the
thank
nation's
you.
largest state-sanctioned medical monopoly, Ballot Health, and your
Issue.
recent RFI on healthcare consolidation. Today, I will share information obtained in the latest COPA Monitor report submitted by Larry Fitzgerald.
Facts and
It
sources.
begins talking about a complaint letter that was filed by a physician on July 1st of 2022, which was also signed by 14 other cardiologists regarding inadequate cardiac cath labs at Johnson City Medical Center. Now, the COPA investigation found that those claims were accurate, and although there was an executed plan of action, it did not result in the operating hours of the cardiac cath labs, meaning the required minimum for any month in fiscal year 2023. Their quality sub-index accounts for 20% of Ballot Health's total COPA score. For fiscal year 2023, they failed 47% of their target quality measures. They were unable to be scored for 27 of their quality monitoring measures. And for the 54 quality monitoring measures that they were scored on, they failed 50 of those because they didn't meet the baseline score. So they failed 93% of the quality monitoring measures. And yet, remarkably, they received a passing score for their quality sub-index. Their access sub-index accounts for 30% of their total score. They failed 4 of 25 measures. And one of those measures is the access for excessive emergency wait times. Of its 21 emergency care sites, 11 of those, 52.3%, did not receive a passing score. They failed to meet monetary commitments for 2 of 6 planned areas required by the terms of certification. Those are non-compliance events, which are can assess a fine of up to $1 million each for each violation. Nor did they say that, hey, we're going to have an event of non-compliance and give a report of, action items to fix it, which those could also have fines. No fines have been imposed ever by the Department of Health at this point. They've overspent their budget by 51 to 136%. They are not investing in their facilities. 74% of their depreciation expense for the last 2 fiscal years, and their new plan is only 60% of their projected depreciation expense. According to this report, the result will be that Ballot Health operates subpar facilities with older equipment without adequate cash flow. They will struggle to meet the objectives of the terms of certification. Thanks again. I'm always available for any questions or concerns, and I appreciate your efforts to assist us with our medical monopoly.
Thank you so much.
So one of the reasons I am talking like that with those facts is I know the people that I'm talking to, they know the measures that I'm talking about. When you're going to talk to your legislators, they may or may not know. When you're going to talk to your Board of Education, they should know. They better know. And if they don't know, come prepared with that information for those people. So I will print out the sections of the COPA or the sections of whatever law, the sections of whatever the guidebook is, whatever it is that I'm reporting that they have to meet, I'm printing that out. And I'm saying, here's a copy of that for you, for you, for you, for you. Because these politicians aren't experts in everything. Everyone is coming to them about something. So if you want them to listen to you, you need to make it simple and easy for them. Refer to them the place where the information is from. Give it to them if you can, right? Highlight that damn thing if you must. Make it easy for them. And this is for the folks that do care. because they have a lot on their plate. So even the ones that care may not be able to keep up. So if you want them to do it, you've got to do some of the work for them, some of the heavy lifting. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, when you come up against folks, and you will come up against folks, how many of you all saw the video from the Tennessee Holler of the lady getting drug out of Diana Harshbarger's town hall in Bluffville, Tennessee? Okay. Yeah. So, and let me just say this, and I'm glad this is being recorded just in case you watch later. Diana Harshbarger, fuck you. And the horse you rode in on. Just saying. I don't like you. You know I don't like you because you don't care about people. Sorry, I had to say that in case somebody watches. Feel free to go tell her I said it. Fuck her. This is the way I see. I'm just being honest. I have a real hard time when I know they are real politicians who honestly don't care about people. And she's one of them. So is Marsha Blackburn, right? Fuck her too. And let me just say this because y'all are like, Danny, I thought you said don't bash. Listen, I did not say fuck them the first 3 times I asked them for help. I was very nice at first. Okay. So I asked very nicely first. I even went to Washington, D.C. and met with Marsha Blackburn. So I did not say fuck you at first. Only when I found out that's what they were worth, right? So see, it's not whether I think they care. I actually know they don't care because I've asked them for assistance. You see what I'm saying? Tiffany said, oh, okay, so fuck them after 3 times. Got it. I'm just saying that's what it was for me. It's okay to know that some people are like, y'all know, what do I play when we're on TikTok sometimes? What's our theme song? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. Some of these folks don't want to be saved. So don't save them, right? Okay. Now, there are going to be times when you are going to be tested when you are in your right. So know your rights. When you are in the process, when you are in the business of making good trouble, know your rights and be willing to call someone's bluff when necessary. And that, my friends, is what happened in this exchange. Now, let me preface this by saying this is me at the Kingsport Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting in Kingsport, Tennessee. The mayor, Pat Scholl, can't stand me. That's okay because it's mutual. This is the mayor. I don't know if you all saw this, but it went nationwide. Do you all remember the article several years ago when there was a mayor that put wooden blocks on park benches to keep people who were unhoused from sleeping on them? Do y'all remember that? It was in USA Today. It was everywhere. He actually referred to them in an email as bum blocks. That's what he referred to them as. This is Pat Scholl. So no, I don't like him. And he's not a good public servant, which is what a mayor should be. Okay. So yeah, he referred to them as bum blocks. Do you want to know how we found that out? A FOIA request. So there was another veteran. I'm a veteran. There's another veteran named Malcolm. And Malcolm's issue, my issue was healthcare. Malcolm's issue was homeless, right? Well, Malcolm was like, Danny, how do you keep getting these emails? I said, FOIA request. You don't know how to use one? He was like, no. I said, come here, let me show you. And that joker started to do FOIA requests. And then he did what I did. He published those emails on the internet, which is a beautiful thing. So now the entire world could see what these elected officials were saying in their emails. And by the way, if they use their cell phones for official communication, you can FOIA them suckers too, because I have. That's how I got a text message that told me that the people working the front desk at the public library sent a text message to a member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and said, Danny Cook is at the circulation desk getting a library card. Like that was like a national emergency or something. That's because I FOIA'd them damn, right? Use that FOIA while we still have it, folks. Okay? Okay, so this is how I got it. So I'm setting it up so that you know he's not a fan, I'm not a fan, but I was tired of being diminished and called out and mistreated at this Board of Mayor and Aldermen. There would be white women who would come and speak, who in previous meetings had yelled at the board of mayor and aldermen, had slammed their hands on the desk. You work for us. Danny Cook never did any of that. And yet I was the one that they threatened to escort out of the building. And so this is what this looks like sometimes when good trouble is adversarial. Okay. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Yeah, I don't know what I was, but good old Pat. All right.
Take my glasses off, said I can't see when you hold up the timer, so I'm gonna start my own timer. I always see everybody's a blur. Danny Cook, Kingsport, Tennessee. I want to start by saying, Betsy, I agree with you. The carousel is a great place. Every time my grandbabies come here, they want to go as well.
So let me tell you why I started right there. So Betsy is a member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. She had just finished telling the story about her grandbabies and being at the Kingsport Carousel. So I'm starting off personal. Betsy, I agree with you. It's a great thing. My grandbabies love it too. Before we go there, I'm gonna give you a little pat, right? Here we go.
And prior to that, I was thinking about the library and, taking my grandkids to the library and taking them for a book to read. And I agree, it's a great facility. What blew me away last week when I came to review some more emails from my open records request was discovering that my movements and my desire to obtain a library card was in an exchange between city employees. FYI, Danny Cook is here at the circulation desk obtaining a library card. It is insane to me that the city is that, I don't even know what word to use with my movement. Last week, you all chose to dismiss the charges against myself and 3 other citizens for violating.
That's another story.
With regard to public right-of-ways. And I'm not sure if you think that solves the matter, but let me be clear, it does not.
Yeah, this was we were going to do a civil lawsuit, but.
When we talk about stating the facts are that in emails, the mayor of the city and other businessmen collaborated together to create a city ordinance to remove us off of Ravine Street. We were the only citizens cited in violation under that ordinance. There was no one else cited for that at all. And once we left Ravine Street, you all dropped the charges, indicating and reaffirming that it was in fact about removing us from Ravine Street. As applied to us, that city ordinance is unconstitutional.
It was.
The city attorney expressed in court that you all had a desire to meet and discuss another amicable outcome. I'm still waiting on a response to see if that is still the desire or not, because you still did in fact violate our constitutional rights. That situation, while different, the spirit of it is similar to what I witnessed tonight with Ms. Admire. A complete disregard for citizens, for her property, for the only natural resource that she has.
They're coming after her property with using eminent domain.
But there's sewers that she doesn't need because somehow this city determined that it needed her land. Kingsport, Tennessee can afford to spend $2.3 million to move power lines from one side of the street to the other. But you can't pay her $18,000 for the property you're about to destroy. Or you want to put her in a position where if you decide you don't like her counteroffer, you can condemn her property and simply take it from her. See, yes, they can still negotiate, sure. But if the city doesn't like their negotiation, you guys just gave them the right to take something that belongs to her. This is still America, and I don't know where the government has gotten it twisted, that somehow or another, we have the right to work with the government, or the government can just take and do whatever you choose. If you don't like the way we exercise free speech, if you don't like the sidewalk or the public right of way in which we use, if you don't like the way we exercise FOIA requests, if you don't like the way that we, express ourselves, if you don't like the way that we want to run our own land with our own daggone farms and our own streams, then you can just take what doesn't belong to you. And that's a problem, folks. The problem. Where is your humanity? Where is your concern for the people sitting on the other aisle? Oh, well, you bought this and you already knew that it was annexed. Well, you know what? I married my ex-husband and knew some things too, but you know what? Life happens. And it doesn't mean that people deserve whatever they get. Something is wrong with the leadership in Kingsport. Not all of it, but a good majority of it. The refusal to apologize for saying comments about your citizens is amazing to me. Just the arrogance that it takes to not be able to say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that thing.
Ms. Cook, you reminded me of refrain from personal comments.
When did I make a personal comment?
Go ahead.
When did I make a personal comment?
We're not playing games here.
You're correct, we are
Say
not.
what you're gonna
And if
say.
you would like to openly discriminate against me one more time, standing at this board, mayor, and alderman meeting, we can do that.
You don't lower your voice.
And if you don't stop discriminating against me in this forum,
You're
when I'm
making
speaking
personal
to you,
comments right now.
no, I am not. You spoke to me personally, Mayor. That's what you
Ma'am.
did. I spoke in
One
a
more
calm
time,
manner.
you're out of order. Got that?
This is not a room, this is not a courtroom. You're not a
Say it one
judge,
more time, you're out of order.
and I'm not out of order.
See him slide his little gavel?
You see it again, respect.
I was proceeding respectfully to start with.
So look, this is him motioning to the deputy to come get me. Now watch me. I look at the little deputy back there. He said he'll escort me out. And I said, okay, you will have to come get me. You think I'm walking with you? That's not happening. Now you see me turn around and look behind me. That's because the chief of police is behind me telling the deputy, don't touch her, leave her ass alone. And so the chief of police, so the mayor adjourned the meeting. Now, when you are doing good trouble, this is the part that's important. So this is my people that I have recording on my phone. Listen, she says, hold on, she asked me a question.
Yeah, until I leave this building, that's what.
She said, do you want me to keep recording? I said, yeah, until I leave this damn building. You sure do. You keep recording until I am no longer on their property. This was in 2020, Uka. This was in 2020. So, no, it's not that I ever intend to engage in like civil disobedience. What I will do is stand my ground and know my rights. And that's what every single person has to do when you are engaging in good trouble. And you've just got to be willing, like in that moment, the whole time I did that protest, my mom kept saying, just don't get arrested, just don't get arrested, just don't get arrested. And that day was like the final straw for me when he was like, you're out of order. He'll escort you out. And I said, okay. And then I just waited. We're going to wait right here. Now, listen, I can say this because the chief of police is now retired. 2 days, that was on a Tuesday night. So 2 days later, 3 days later, I was at Dilly's. At Dilly's Curiosity Shop. And the chief of police happened to pull up to go to the store next door. And I saw him and he waved at me. And I said, Chief, and he goes, I don't know what that was, Danny. I'm sorry. Right? Because he knew that they had no right. He knew the mayor was out of order and they were already going down a bad path. Right. I was respectful. The reason what he didn't like is he was quoted in an article, in an email, refusing to apologize for saying some ugly things about his citizen. So I didn't say it directly to him, But I was talking about how bad it is that leadership can't apologize to their constituents. But again, so even then, I'm giving facts, I'm giving information, I'm telling you how I feel personally, what has to be done about it, what's at stake for the people. Yeah, he was a hit dog hollering. He's not the mayor now, Imani. He got reelected a year after that though, because they don't got no damn sense. They keep electing the very people that they say they can't stand, but whatever. Yeah, Uka, he tried to say that I was making it personal. Yep, while it was recorded. Now, I will tell you, this is something that I did all the time. If we went to a public forum, to a public meeting, we recorded when I spoke and when each of us spoke so that we had it, so that we know what we said, so that we had our own evidence. We did the same thing. If the press interviewed us, listen, John Engel, one of the reporters, he used to say, "Hey, Danny and her paparazzi." That's what he used to call my folks at the protest, because we recorded him interviewing me, because they like to edit. They're going to go back and they're going to have a 60-second, 120-second, 180-second clip. And that's all they've got to tell that story. But the interview is going to be 10 minutes long, 20 minutes long. You don't know what they're going to take from what you say. So you got to make sure that you CYA 24/7 when you are involved in good trouble. Okay? Now, let me go back to the document real quick. Whoops. Hold on. Yeah. Good trouble training is technique, but it's also how do you protect you? Okay? It just is. It has to be a mixture of things. It really does. And this is why you always need a buddy system. There needs to be a minimum of 2 of you at anything that you go to. You always need a witness. You always need someone with you. Even when you're door knocking, even when you're getting petitions signed, even there needs to always be 2. Safety first. Safety means having a buddy system, okay? So what do you need to do with your 2 to 5 minutes? Greet and thank you. State your case. Prove your expertise with facts and sources. Make it personal. And I used to tell people all the time, listen, don't mistake my passion for aggression. I'm passionate because this matters. And then make it their professional responsibility and end with a clear ask. Petitions online versus old-fashioned, very quickly. There are pros and cons to both. So what I would say to you is to consider what you're using it for. So for example, when you're looking for an ease and lots of reach, online is great. The Heritage Foundation did that very thing. They got like, I don't know, 100,000 signatures and sent them to Republican GOP members for their Senate confirmation hearings to say that they wanted them to be moved fast. How do I know that? Because I listened to the dude from the Heritage PAC who had his ass on C-SPAN talking about it. Matter of fact, I called in and talked to him about it. When you think about but what are the cons to online? You have less control over who signs them, and they are more easily dismissed. You will have politicians who will say, oh, well, those are just online signatures. Those people don't even live here, even if they do, right? So think about when you're looking at doing petitions, local, state, and federal petition, what are the issues and what are the differences? Do you need to have more control, right? And have old-fashioned pen and paper signatures? Maybe for your local board of education, maybe for your state legislature, right? Maybe for your regional issues, but is it national? Do you need to use something online? Is that better? And no matter what, if you're doing old-fashioned, always make copies and keep the originals. Never ever give somebody your originals when it comes to petitions and signatures, okay? Community forums, I love them. This is how I kicked off the protest against Ballard. This became an issue November 14th of 2018. Our first community forum was December 29th. We did it at the farmers market in Kingsport. We filled it. 250 people showed up. Press was there. Everybody was there, right? When you think about it, we didn't contact politicians. We just told people. I used social media. That is how we got people involved. That entire protest was done through social media. Places where you can have community forums, school gymnasiums,
A lot of-
libraries, like local community theaters, your community centers. These things keep costs low. A lot of places they'll let you rent a room for like $50, $100. People can chip in $5 each, $10 each, and then you can have a facility, right? And you want to start with 50 people, 100 people. Believe it or not, those numbers matter. Just the fact that people will come out of their homes means that it makes a difference to them, and that is newsworthy. That is newsworthy. When you set up a community forum, you make online events so that people can RSVP to them, right? Collect email addresses from people so that you can email them and stay in touch. You do the press releases, have index cards on the table so people can ask questions. If you're dealing with a specific issue, get local subject matter experts. You can find physicians who will talk about vaccinations, pediatricians who will talk about them. You can, you can get those people who are willing to come and talk about those types of things because it's not political, it's about the issue, right? When you have people that are respected influences, listen, if you are in the city, there are folks in the inner city that people respect, and they're not politicians. Y'all know who they are. Make sure you guys are on mute for me, right? Think about the people in your communities that people respect that aren't part of the good old boy network. Get their buy-in, have conversations, meet for coffee, see where they stand. Okay. Press releases. There is a great, it's prposting.com. There's a blog on a great way to write press releases. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to put the link in the chat for you. So let me do that real quick. So it is in the chat. It talks about the heading all the way down to your contact info. Okay, so intro, start with a bang. You've got to aim what you got to make it so like this one. Kaiser Studio donates 230 new children's books. Boom, that's the bang, right? That's the bang. If your press release is, right, 200 members of the community are getting together to discuss local health care, right? 200 elderly people are coming together that are concerned about losing their Social Security. The community is coming together. This predominantly Republican community is coming together because people are scared they're going to lose Medicaid and Social Security. Start with a bang, right? Give your sources and your facts. Name the people that are putting it together. Name the location where it's going to be. Give them the essentials of the information. Any quotes from the people that you've talked to who are attending. Why are people willing to come out and attend? Put at least one or two of those quotes in that press release. Make it relevant. And if you can, find a professional, find a business owner, find a veteran, find a mom, preferably a stay-at-home mom. Find people from different demographics, different groups, because you want quotes from all different types of people to represent everyone that's coming, right? Then you got to check to see if there's anything else missing, and then make sure they have your contact info. Boom. That's how you do press releases. This next one, FOIA. I've talked about this. It's really important. Again, I'm going to give you this website. And the reason why I'm giving it is because I want to share. Oh, does this actually my damn, hold on. I'm just going to copy it like this. So the reason why I'm doing this is because, remember, there are different guidelines and requirements for federal FOIA requests, and each state has different requirements. So, for example, in the state of Tennessee, they can demand that you give them a Tennessee state license or a Tennessee state ID. And if you don't have one, they don't have to give you anything. They can deny your request. So you need to check and see what are your state's requirements. And this website, the NFOIC, they can give you the links to your state and help you figure out where you can get it. Now, there's also an OIG office, the Inspector General's office. Did you know that every state has its own counsel's office. If you have a FOIA request that is denied, you can send that FOIA request to that office of lawyers. And they can go back and tell that agency they have to complete that request. How do I know? Because I've done it. Listen, they hate me at the Tennessee Department of Health, and I don't care, right? Because I got what we needed to get for the people. So these are sources that you need to look at, that you want to know when you are in the business of good trouble. Now, this last part, this is a Danny thing. So lots of you guys know that that I'm a certified coach. And my specialty is communication and conflict resolution. So this is just a hack. There's a much more in-depth process behind this, but this is a hack. Everyone processes information differently. You can actually use words and different styles of speaking and writing to make sure that you're heard. There I go with another typo. Hey, I was typing fast today, but that your communication is effective. So I am a producer. I've taken this little like assessment, so I know that I'm a producer. You can identify people that are producers because guess what? They talk fast. They say things like, long story short, get to the point. They say quickly, efficiently. That's the way they talk. When they look at things, they want to see them in bullet points. They don't want to see a bunch of mumbo jumbo. They want high level analysis, right? So when you recognize that you're talking to someone like me, you can use cheat words. You can say, let me get to the point real quick. Now you've got my attention. I'm listening. Right? If I'm talking to someone who is an imaginist, this is somebody who's idea oriented. Now, if you've ever been in a meeting or if you watch, listen, y'all, if you watch open meetings with your city councils and your board of mayor aldermans or any of those people, and they'll be ready to adjourn on a topic and they'll say, does anybody else have any questions? The person that has another, well, what about this or what about that? That person is the imaginist. Okay. Cheat words for an imaginist is imagine, big picture, envision. Can you see? What would it look like? You now get them to thinking and imagining and painting pictures. Now, the difference with this communication assessment is not about how people talk. It is about how their brain processes information. It literally is how their brain. So when I listen for tasks. An imaginist listens for ideas. A teamist listens for relationship. So when you're talking to someone who's a teamist, these are people who everything kind of revolves around them, not always in a great way. This is the person where if you're walking around the mall, they'll say, ooh, so-and-so would love that. So-and-so said this the other day. So-and-so might like to do that. Do you know where so-and-so said? They're always thinking and processing from a relationship standpoint. So when you talk to a teamist, you use words like we, us, together, share, right? And then if you're talking to an analyst, people think that analysts like data. They don't. Analysts likes process. They want to know the how. The only reason they want to know the who, what, when, where is so they can figure out how. And if they can't figure out how, they get stuck. So when you're talking to an analyst, this is someone who is typically methodical, right? And this is someone who, if they don't know the how, they're not going anywhere. So when you're using words with an analyst, it's first, next, then, right? Now think about this when you're doing a social media post. If I'm doing a social media post, and if you follow me on Facebook for a while, you'll see this. You'll see me do a paragraph. You'll see me do a couple of bullet points, right? You'll see me say we, us, together. You'll see me say first this, next this, that. I'm using all 4 communication styles in one email, in one social media post, in one speaking engagement, because I am triggering the process of each of those. Yes, Holly, it is. So let me just tell you, if you were to score in all, so let me just tell you, nobody's a 0 in any of these. So when you take the assessment, let me just show you. I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay. So hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And then we're finished up. But let me just, and then I'll answer questions. Um, um, oh, I bet I put it on my, I bet I put it on my, I bet I put it on my external hard drive. But let me just see real quick. So when you do this assessment, it literally takes less than 10 minutes. Oh, here we go. I got one.
Multi camera.
Somebody's on, not on mute. I don't know who it is.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So I'll show you what mine looks like. So green is when you're relaxed. Red is when you're under stress because stress does change how you process. I don't change very much. I'm pretty much the same all the damn time, probably because I live under stress. But do you see the numbers? So when you look at my numbers, I don't have anything that is within 5 points of me. So that means I'm a producer straight up and down. My second highest window is an Imaginist. My third is a Teamist. And my last is an Analyst. Now, I can tell you that I just did this again, like a little while ago, and my Analyst is now up above my Teamist, and that's because of the work that I now do. I need to know the how more so than ever before, right? So that's changed a little bit, but I am still a producer full on. There's nothing within 5 points of me. So you see how I have scores in all windows, but what matters is if you have nothing within 5 points of you, then that's your, I'm lying. If you have something within 5 points of you, that means you start in that window and then you go to the second. And then if you have nothing within 10 points of you, which I don't, the closest I have is 11 points. That means I'm straight up and down a producer. So, and for those of you guys who are subscribers and all of that, oh yeah, Marnie, it has nothing to do with whether or not you can make your own plan. It has to do with how your brain, yep, Titan. It has to do with how your brain processes information. So I told y'all, okay, this is another thing that I do have set up that I do have in the works for y'all, but I haven't scheduled it. So I have talked with Natalie and I am going to offer the assessment to folks and I need to ask her what they charge for the assessment. I'm not going to charge anything above what they charge for it. And then what they do is they will give me your reports, and then we'll actually meet on a Zoom and I'll walk you through your profile. So that you know, it's really helpful because like I use it in my family members. Like I know what the people in my family are, so I know how to talk to them jokers. I know when I'm talking to people at different events, I can pick up on it based on how they talk, right? Whether they're engaged or whether they're not engaged and all of that. I would almost lay money that Cheryl over there up in my type right. She's got a healthy Imaginist going on. I can just tell by the way that she's interacting with the screen. I can look at your house and tell a lot of times if who I'm dealing with. But anyway, so let me just make sure that was the last slide. Your communication hack. Yeah. So what's next, folks? Finding your people and being about the work, figuring out what good trouble looks like for you. What type of good trouble do you want to engage in? Do you want to run for office? Are you going to join up with ruralorganizing.org down home? Are you going to go to mobilize.us and start phone banking and text banking? Are you linking up with your local Democratic Party? Are you going to your local, board meetings and your city council meetings? Like this is what's next. And then you be about the business and do the work. Okay. Now I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to see if anyone has any questions at all before I stop recording. Yeah. So Marnie, when I do a FOIA request, and what I'll do, how about this? I'll put one of my FOIAs in the link tree for you because I tend to cover all the bases. I will say that I would like to inspect the digital copies of all emails, text messages, documents, memos, um, and any other documentation or material relevant to. I'll name whatever the issue is, whatever the keyword is I'm looking for, and I will give a specified time frame that I want it for. Um, and I give them the time frame that I'm looking for, and then I will ask them because as long as it's a reasonable request and it's not too many documents, they typically don't charge you for it. They can charge you for it. So what I always tell them is that there's going to be a fee, and if that fee is going to be larger than $25, then I want them to let me know before they process my request. And then I go from there. Um, so yeah, listen, FOIA is your friend. I have boxes of FOIAs from the Tennessee Department of Health and the city of Kingsport. They can't stand me, but it's okay. You know, here's the thing: you shouldn't be saying anything that you don't want your constituents to know. You shouldn't be doing anything that you don't want your constituents to see. Karen, you had a question?
Yeah. Um, if we're writing our senators and our congressmen and our state legislators, congressional district, I'm so happy I love her. Do we use these bullet points that you gave today to compose a email?
Yeah. So when you're looking at how
I
you
mean,
want to
what is
compose
the best
an
way to do
email,
that?
yeah. So when you're thinking about how you want to compose an email, yeah, I would use the bullet point. So what's the issue? What is the issue that you want to know about? Edith had posted an idea that somebody had the other day where they said every Friday we should be emailing our legislators and asking them to name 5 things they did the last week. The way that Elon's doing it,
Right,
we
right.
should all do that for our and I'm not against it. Hey, I don't know that they'll respond to them. You know what I mean? But kind of funny. But yeah, so this is the bullet points are for you so that you have clarity about what you're asking, what is the information that you want to know, what is the issue that you want addressed, right? How can you make it real to them? Because you got to remember that they get emails from tons of people. And I want you all to remember that 54% of the country is reading at like 6th grade or less. So you can imagine what some of the emails are like. Yeah. So you want to make sure that yours stands out, that yours is concise, that yours has facts and sources, right? If you're concerned about something, link to the article, link to the document. Hey, I saw this. I'm concerned. How will this affect, people who are whatever, right? I saw that there are plans to consolidate Social Security offices from 10 regions to 4, right? How many jobs will that cost in the state of Tennessee, Wisconsin, North Carolina, whatever? What is the state planning to do to ensure that the people in Tennessee, in North Carolina, in PA who have Social Security don't lose access, maintain their benefits? What is your plan? What legislation are you introducing on a state level to ensure that this government move, this federal move, isn't disruptive and harmful to the life of us? You see what I'm saying? And so you want to be able to lay that out. And then for me, I always use the personal example I use when it comes to Social Security is my uncle. Even though my mom's on it, I use my uncle because at 84 years old, he has said,
Excuse me.
and he said he was talking to my mom and he said, sis, I mean, I guess I could go be a greeter at Walmart. Now, keep in mind, this is a man who has served his country. This is a man who has broken his
I
back
get
in
it.
the last 2 years. This is a man who has survived colon cancer. And at 84, that's what he's worried about. You see what I'm
Hey,
saying?
I'm 71 and I live in New Jersey, one of the most expensive states, so I get it.
And so
and
that's
I'm
the
on
question.
Social Security.
And so that's the question. Make it relevant to them, make it personal to them, right? If you spent years, folks, if you are teachers, if you were civil service, if you were federal government, if you were like whatever the roles were, if you spent time raising the beautiful children that are going to be the leaders of the world, say that. I spent my time raising productive members of society that are going to make sure that New
Okay.
Jersey remains a leader in the state. Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
This is just something that I've thought of before, and I know it's probably going to sound crazy, but I thought of writing to the Republican senators and House of Representatives' wives and say, was your child vaccinated? Is your mother on Social Security? Talk to your husband. I know that sounds crazy, but I know that they listen to their wives.
Yeah, they do.
Their wives have a say.
I think so. I don't know. I don't be trusting.
It's
When
just
I
a
think
thought.
about it, because so here's the thing. I like to Matlock it. So I don't know what they wives are going to say. They wives might be part of those 53% that voted for Trump. And
Right.
they might be anti-vaxxers, and they might be, like real talk. They might have vaccinated their children back then and be anti-vaxxers today. So I never leave it up to somewhere else for someone to give them that information. I want you to get it from me. I want to always be thinking about this, y'all. You got to be Matlocking all day, every day. If you are asking the question, it's because you know the answer to it. You are asking it because you are leading them down the direction that you want them to go. There's only one outcome, and it's the place where you're taking them to. Okay. So, yeah, use the bullet points to guide your outline. And just remember in those emails, right? Remember on those emails, small paragraphs, couple of bullet points, paint pictures for them. What would it be like if all your constituents could ABCDX? What it would be like? What would it be like if every child in the state of Pennsylvania, we knew for sure, had breakfast and lunch every single day? What would our state look like? Really, y'all, what would that look like? Can you imagine how our society would change if every child we knew for sure ate breakfast and lunch for free every day? It would change our society. It would change what teachers deal with at school. It would change what bus drivers deal with. It would change what siblings go through. It would change how well they're able to listen in school, how well they're able to concentrate. It would change us. Paint those pictures, because those are things that we can actually create. We can make those things happen. Stacey, I saw you had your hand up.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Sorry for barging in. I thought I was sneaking in, and then I saw a notice like that.
Girl, you had your little masks on and everything. Linda said, "What's Stacey doing? That looks like fun." That girl had face masks on and the whole nine.
I was like, oh, I think I was on camera. I looked crazy. It's okay. That's all right. We work hard for the money, right? Okay.
That's it.
Someone in one of our lives mentioned one of the government websites that we can go to and set up an alert that will tell us when a piece of legislation is passed in our state. And I went to the site and I was on the track, and then I lost the scent.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so it's the congressional record page. I got you. Hold on. Let me see if I can put this. Let me see if this one. Whoops. Hold on. Congressional records page.
I feel like
About alerts. Okay, here we go. Here, I'm just gonna put this page because this will tell you how you can get there. Click that and see if that works.
Will it make me leave Zoom?
Nope.
Okay.
You should open up in another thing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, this is congress.gov, which is the site she sent me to.
Yeah,
and
so this is the about alerts, and there's like a congressional record alerts. You can get committee schedule alerts, and you can do save search alerts, but it walks you through like what you can get them for,
perfect.
and how to set them up on that page.
Perfect. Because I feel like that would be very empowering
Mhm.
for us analysts.
Did you know that you can actually also go to did you know that you can also get on the email list for your state legislatures? Oh, you're welcome, Kathy. Have a good evening. You can also sign up for your state legislature to be on their email list to get their calendars and their committees. I still get mine from Tennessee. just so they know I'm watching. But you can sign up to be on the email list for the calendar for your state legislature.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's very it's helpful to me in my analyst brain so that I can see the process by which, okay, this is what's happened. This
Mhm.
is who authored it. This is when it happened.
Yep.
This is where I can start. It's a nice jumping off point.
Yeah. And so like for me, I get so many damn alerts. It's not helpful. So for me, I go and I actually search by subject matter, what I'm looking for. And you can actually do the same thing. So like I have certain alerts set up on Google. I have a Google alert set up for ballot health.
Yeah.
So I can know like what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Imani, you had a question? Imani, did you mean to hit your hand up?
Have to unmute.
Who said, okay, let me just try. I'm asking you to unmute, but you might have raised your hand by accident. So, Brandy says she got that same cardigan, Stacy. Hers is gray.
I love this cheap little
Can
cardigan.
you hear me?
Old Navy.
Oh, yep, Imani, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I wasn't sure how to. I don't use Zoom very often, so I'm kind of clunky with it.
It's okay. No worries.
So I actually put my question in the chat, and
Okay.
let me see. I don't even know how to.
I'm reading it right now.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. So okay, so yeah, I got a lot of okay, so I have that. So like I did the same thing. I did a Facebook group for people wanting to know about ballot health, and I started putting information in there and sharing it with people and inviting people. It has like 5,000 people in it now, right? So what I would say is start looking at the seats in your area that don't have anybody running against them. I would just use Canva or whatever, something simple, making little bitty like informations about, hey, X number of seats in this state or in this community or whatever, or don't have any opposition. And I would share them. When you're in that Facebook group, get your folks together, whoever your people are. You invite all of them to join that group. And then they need to also be responsible for inviting another X number of people into that group so that it grows. But the way that you grow that group, number one, make sure that it's public so people can see it. Even if you don't want them to see who's in it, they need to be able to see the group and find it. So that would be number one. Make sure that it has pertinent information. Make sure that you have a great, catchy, it sounds stupid, but you want a great little banner photo that motivates people, that makes people go, hell yeah. That's why when y'all logged on, I had Kendrick going, right? I did. I've been on some Kendrick all day. And in my head, all I keep seeing, I want to listen one day, I'm gonna be real petty for like half a second. One day, I just want to, I want to pass Marsha Blackburn, and in my head, I'm going to be pretending like she's Drake. And remember during the Super Bowl when Kendrick goes, "Hey Drake, I see you like I'm young," and he flipped his head, "Hey Drake." That's how I want to do Marsha Blackburn one day. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm not really kidding, but yes. So those are some things that I would say automatically, right? Yeah, baby.
Okay.
Tutu's almost done, okay? I know you want to say hi to the people. You can say hi. And that's her because she's learned how to burp, as y'all know. That's all she wanted y'all to do was see her be able to burp. Okay. They all said hi, Mila. Is that helpful, Imani?
Yes, it is actually.
Good.
I just reached out to someone who is in the Democratic committee in the next county over from where I am, because the county that I'm in, it is pretty much non-existent.
Okay. Are you in a rural place?
Yes, very, very.
Okay, so that'd be my love. All right. So, ruralorganizing.org. Those people are your friend. Ruralorganizing.org. I did some contract work for them for the last couple of years. They are amazing. They have tons of information on how to start yard sign campaigns, how to do organizing. They have lots of PDFs that you can download and documentation to help you get going. Get on their email list, their newsletter list, like all that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, 3 people are doing
Yep.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you. That's pretty much the question that I had.
You are very welcome. Okay, all right. So it's almost 8:30, 2 hours. I have decided I'm not doing TikTok tonight because I did TikTok earlier today. I've done 4 or 5 hours of my life today on here. Okay, it's really cute, baby. Let me get finished. I'm almost done. I'm gonna get off here, get these girls ready for bed. I will be live tomorrow. I will be live tomorrow to dig back into some things. Hopefully this was helpful. You guys, was this helpful? Did you get anything out of it that you can use? Yay. Perfect. Amazing. When you get done with this, you will get an email. If you want to reply with anything that you got, anything that you wished we had done differently. Eric sent an amazing testimonial last time that was like super great, made me feel really good inside. All of those things are helpful as we continue to grow and move and do things that matter. Believe it or not, folks, this work does matter. When there's 100 people on every damn training and each one teaches one and we grow and we get our people together and we start doing it locally, everyone will benefit and make a difference. And do you know what happens? Like, I just want y'all to think about something. When we start to be able to say,
Thursday?
when we start to be able to say, Inger, were you asking me a question? Nope. Okay. When we start to be able to say, listen, we had 37 states on our training call, and out of 37 states, 20 people went and spoke at their Board of Mayor and Aldermen, their Board of Education, their city council, and they wrote letters to the editor and they did FOIA requests. That's a story, people. I don't know if you want to talk like me. Talk how you talk. Talk how you talk. This is the thing. Take the key points that you like about how I do things. Take the key points that you like about how I say or what I say, and then make them yours. Make it in your voice in a way that is meaningful, that represents you. Don't be Danny, be Stacy, be Cheryl, be Inger, be Mary, be Karen, be Eric, right? Be you. Just take the points that work for you. Uka said, I don't know if talking like me is a good idea. It is. Just mix it together. Yeah, you want to walk in every room, Matlock in. That's right, Bestel. Matlock in. That's how we do it. All right. I appreciate you all very, very, very much. I will see you all tomorrow. Yeah. Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate it. I will see